So we've been talking a lot over the last couple of weeks about trolls, and specifically about how there are different kinds of trolls. Some are more harmful than others, and you probably need to handle some trolls differently than others. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting a lot of pushback on that idea from two different camps. The first camp consists of people who say you shouldn't differentiate like that because the only policy that ever works is don't feed the trolls. And if you ever do anything other than that in any circumstance, you're just giving them attention and giving them what they want and encouraging them. And the second group consists of self-identified trolls who feel that my framing of the issue is unfair to the troll community. They're basically like the troll equivalent of purist underground hip-hop heads. They're like troll backpackers who feel like I'm promoting a distorted mainstream misconception of what trolling is instead of honoring the real underground true school traditions of trolling from back in the days. And that second group, the troll backpackers, fascinates me, and I'd want to take the time to address them in depth later on. But for today, I want to try and address that first camp, the people who are trying to help by constantly enforcing this don't feed the trolls orthodoxy and don't understand why it might not always be helpful. Now, I get why so many people are married to this principle and take it for granted, because as the troll backpackers will be quick to remind you, trolling does have its origins in a desire to get petty forms of negative attention, to create a spectacle by getting a rise out of people. It has its origins in a desire to provoke. And that original true school 5 elements form of trolling is often best handled by just walking away instead of endlessly going back and forth in a particular message board thread. So if that's the only form of trolling that you've personally experienced, I can understand why you think don't feed the trolls is a good catch-all rule. But the problem is that over time, those tools and tactics associated with trolling have come to be used for more than just petty provocation. As people have seen how effective these tactics are in creating negative energy, they've learned that if there's someone online whose perspective or voice or existence is threatening to you, you can use these trolling tactics to chase this person down in every space they inhabit online and fill up their entire day-to-day life on the internet with the worst kinds of hate and threats and abuse. And when you're facing that kind of hyper-aggressive amplified trolling, the only way to implement the don't feed the trolls rule is to just relinquish your right to be on the internet at all. And that type of hyper-aggressive amplified trolling doesn't seem to happen randomly. It seems to happen a lot more often if you are LGBT, a woman, a person of color. It happens a lot more often to marginalized groups. So I just think that whenever you hear someone say that they're getting attacked by trolls, especially if you're lucky and privileged enough to be someone who doesn't face that second type of trolling so often, you need to be aware of that privilege when you speak to them and remember that everyone's not that lucky. You need to take the time to listen and find out exactly what they're going through and how you can support. You need to find out whether they're dealing with that back in the days old school trolling that's in pursuit of sound and fury, or are they dealing with that hyper aggressive, hateful, destructive form of trolling that's in pursuit of shame and silence. Because if they're dealing with that second type of trolling, it is not going to be helpful to toss the old don't feed the trolls chestnut at them. And I'm not saying those smaller forms of trolling can't also be harmful and hard to deal with. I'm not saying I know what the right answer is in either case. I think a lot of times there is no easy answer. But I think most of the time a good first step is to listen to them and ask how you can help instead of just dictating to them how they should handle something that's happening to them and not to you. Because if they're getting harassed in pursuit of their silence and you tell them all they can do is just don't feed the trolls, in that scenario it might be you who's helping the trolls win.